Straight ahead on 12 News, the popular draw on April Fool's Day that mixes sugar with a little humor. Then, a Brooklyn Park business that's losing a row of neighbors. But first, a longtime local bakery has difficult news for its customers. 12 News starts right now. Tears and shock greeted customers today as a popular Brooklyn Park bakery announced it is closing.
Sonia Goins shows us why Jack's Bakery and Coffee Shop is closing its doors.
It's kind of surreal.
Sandy and Blair Moeller have owned Jack's Bakery and Coffee Shop for more than 20 years.
How does it make you feel to know you got to close up?
It's hard.
Sandy says while the breads and cakes are their big money makers, those items weren't bringing in enough dough. She says business dropped by 50% in the last year. Some of that has to do with superstores like Costco and Target moving in.
You can't compete with the superstores.
And a lot of people passed on the desserts when the economy got bad.
This is a frill, it's not a necessity. So the business dropped down with that.
For loyal customers like Alan Erickson, Jack's is like a second home.
I've been coming here probably on average 4 days a week for the last 3 years.
He says it's not the pastry that draws him in, but the people.
The workers, it kind of reminds me of like Cheers, you come in the door and people know you and greet you.
These shelves are normally full of donuts and cookies, but they've been flying off the shelves ever since customers heard they're closing up shop.
Pretty sad that it's going to be closing. I mean, it's pretty much the only place in the neighborhood.
It's going to be emotional. Yep. My wife and I have been coming here for a long time, so, maybe I'll have to go on a diet.
The owners say they did just about everything to keep the bakery up and running, but in the end, it wasn't enough.
We discontinued things. We, tried different things, and, there's only so much you can do.
Sandy Moeller says this is more than a bakery. It's her life, and she's going to miss the customers who have supported the business.
We're so appreciative of everyone, and we're going to miss them.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Jack's Bakery will close on Saturday, April 6th. They are still taking orders for cakes if you want a little taste of history.
But drivers should be able to zoom right through Brooklyn Park on Highway 169 without worrying about a stoplight. Workers took down the last stoplight between Champlin and Shakopee today. It meant stopping traffic on Highway 169 for a short time this morning. The MnDOT officials have said the stoplight at 93rd Avenue created one of the most dangerous intersections in the state. Now that the stoplight is gone, work will begin on an overpass that should help reduce the backups during rush hour traffic. And drivers should, though, continue to watch out for lane closures as that work continues. It's an $8 million project that will be finished in November. Crews in Brooklyn Park have also begun tearing down buildings along County Road 81 near 63rd Avenue to make way for road construction.
It's part of a 2-year project to rebuild 81 from the Crystal Airport to Interstate 694. Renee Bonneau is live near the site where many are anxious for work to get underway. Renee?
Mike and Alex, for people who work, live, and drive on County Road 81, it's a relief to finally see these boarded up buildings come down. And they hope that the sooner construction can begin, the sooner it'll end.
The sound of heavy metal and mangled buildings is like nails on a chalkboard for Don Grubish.
Well, I wish him well. Do it fast,
Grubish is manager of CC Military Surplus that sits just south of the demolition on Lakeland Avenue alongside County Road 81.
The season we got coming in now is spring. There's a lot of airsoft enthusiasts, paintball enthusiasts that want to get going.
But he's afraid a lot of those customers won't want to come to the store as road work kicks off outside his doors.
We're worried that during the construction, people might think that they can't get to us, which they can.
It'll just be a lot trickier. Starting this month, Hennepin County will rebuild northbound County Road 81 and the east frontage road in front of Grubish's store. Next year, crews will focus on southbound 81.
People will be putting through some of our construction impacts and some delays, but it'll be worth in the end to see nice beautification of the corridor and a little bit better capacity for motors in the northwest area here.
I guess in the long run, that'll benefit us, but right now, you always got to go through hell before you get to heaven, so.
Grubish says low sales could force him to cut his employees' hours.
Camouflage clothing, this is urban camo.
But he hopes online sales and more marketing will keep that from happening.
We're going to minimize that to the best of our ability and advertise more if we have to, more radio ads, maybe even bring back the TV commercial or whatever, and make sure that people know that we're still on the map and we're not going away.
A Hennepin County engineer told me that demolition crews will likely be working into next week, and once they're done, they'll start to be able to remove some of the pavement that's here. As for traffic on County Road 81, they're not quite sure yet when they'll start shifting all of the traffic onto the southbound lanes. We're live in Brooklyn Park. Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Renee. A Brooklyn Park family of 6 is living elsewhere after a candle started a fire that damaged their home over the weekend. The fire broke out in a bedroom Saturday evening in the 3200 block of 74th Avenue. Fire officials say everything in that bedroom was destroyed. There was also smoke damage throughout the house. The candle was apparently too close to a curtain, and it caught the curtain and bedding on fire. The Red Cross is helping the family find a place to stay.
Well, we now know what will replace a Rainbow Foods grocery store in Plymouth. A leasing agent tells 12 News that a Kohl's department store will move into Rockford Road Plaza. The Rainbow Foods is closing in May due to a leasing issue. There are 2 other Rainbow Food stores in Plymouth. An opening date for Kohl's was not immediately available.
As federal lawmakers in Washington debate how to reduce the federal deficit, seniors are left wondering what it could mean for Social Security and Medicare.
We have a huge debt, national debt, trillions and trillions of dollars. Social Security did not add a penny to that.
A speaker from one of the nation's largest advocacy groups for seniors addressed a crowd in Brooklyn Center this morning. He and Congressman Keith Ellison want to educate seniors on what's being done in Washington to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Some people refer to them as entitlements. I call them social insurance programs, something that people pay into all their lives, and then when they need them, they need them. And we should be concerned about solving our budgetary issues, but we shouldn't solve them on the back of our seniors.
Ellison told the group today that Social Security is solvent through 2033. Coming up, a cultural icon gets ready to deliver.
See what General Mills is cooking up with Betty Crocker. Then later in sports, Champlin Park's boys tennis team hopes plenty of indoor work will pay off when the season begins.
But first, it's a look at your sunny AccuWeather forecast.
What does the name Betty Crocker mean to you?
If you're of a particular generation, chances are that cultural icon from General Mills still holds personal appeal. In this week's Business Matters, we take a look at a new Betty Crocker meal delivery service for seniors that General Mills is testing out in the Twin Cities.
When it wasn't as easy getting my own groceries, I called Betty Crocker Kitchens. Now I get delicious meals delivered right to my door.
With this latest television ad, General Mills is cooking up an idea especially designed for the growing senior population. It's a pilot program featuring 25 different frozen meal options available for home delivery. General Mills is partnering with Coburn's Delivers to test this service in the greater Twin Cities. We met with Marketing Director Martin Abrams in the Betty Crocker Kitchens at Golden Valley-based General Mills to find out why this idea made sense and why Betty Crocker is still the it girl for a generation of seniors.
It was so interesting when we were doing all the research. We had consumers bringing out their original Betty Crocker cookbooks from the 50s and the 60s, and I think this is the Betty Crocker generation. They grew up with her. There's a high deal of respect for Betty, and also when you say Betty Crocker, there's a taste expectation that comes with those meals. So they expect some of the meals that will actually be delivered to this particular group would come from the Betty Crocker Kitchens cookbook.
What are you learning, and why is that meal delivery component important?
Well, the delivery component is very important. The key research that we learned is as people get older, it's harder to get in your car and to go to the grocery store. In some situations, the senior can't drive anymore. In some situations, the caregiver is actually taking care of their mother or their dad from a remote location. And so what the caregiver wants is to be able to call up a number or go to a website and say, please deliver these meals to my loved one. that really takes a huge burden of stress off of the caregiver, and it allows the senior to be happy with the meal that comes from Betty Crocker.
The Betty Crocker meal delivery service costs about $8 per meal, and you can order them over the phone or online. Well, this is no April Fool's joke. A popular Maple Grove cupcake shop was a busy place today, and it was all thanks to, get this, unicorn poop.
Yeah, people were lined up out the door Monday afternoon at Nadia Cakes in Maple Grove to buy 3 cupcakes that are only sold on April Fool's Day. Kitty litter, spaghetti and meatball, and unicorn poop, their name for it. Customers placed more than 1,500 pre-orders for the unique cupcakes, and bakers at the shop say they could barely keep up with demand.
We have a joke here at Nadia Cakes that poop and rainbows. Anytime we put fake poop or rainbows on anything, our customers just go nuts. And so this is like the, it's the trifecta. It's like the cupcake, the poop, the rainbow. Everybody has to have it. And it's magical. It's rare.
They plan to sell more than 2,000 unicorn poop cupcakes alone today. On a normal Monday, they usually sell about 1,000 cupcakes altogether. They go for the name, yeah. I guess. I don't know. Coming up, a special reunion between man and man's best friend.
But first in sports, spring sports bring scheduling difficulties. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
Could be a kind of a rough start to spring sports with the weather not cooperating very much. Still some snow out in those fields.
Quite a bit of snow out, depending on the fields and how the sun is hitting them, and it's going to be a little bit of a wait, I think. While the Minnesota Twins were able to open the season today under chilly conditions, high school baseball and softball teams don't have the benefit of playing on fields with underground heated coils or a full-time grounds crew, and so they wait. Earlier today, I asked Osseo High School Activities Director Ray Kirch about the fields and spring sports for 2013.
The weather's supposed to break later this week, but that doesn't mean the frost will necessarily be out of the ground, which is the hard thing for baseball and softball this time of year.
You got temperatures that are supposed to be in the mid-50s starting the middle of this week through about the middle of next week at least, but no, like 70-degree days. So what do you do for games that are scheduled for early next week, middle of next week? Are you still wait and see, or you think you're going to have to postpone those?
Well, we'll know mid to late week what we're doing for next week. We'll know if the frost is out of the ground and get a 10-day forecast. But right now, our first, standing on the baseball field, and our first game is scheduled here for next Monday. And I would seriously doubt the mud that we walked through on the first baseline this morning, already makes me think that we've got a ways to go before we're going to be able to have playing conditions out here. So we got spoiled last spring, and now we're kind of back to that Minnesota spring. Stay tuned for the forecast and for the weather report to see where we're going to play or not.
How does the weather affect your tennis teams, track and field, lacrosse? Golf, I guess, is another sport that you have no control over what the conditions are like.
Right. Golf will open when it opens. They can go into indoor dome and hit some balls and do some things on simulators and so forth. Tennis is good, other than the windy conditions and just being darn cold. Track's fine with the track. The snow melts off of that pretty well. And likewise, the artificial turf in the stadiums for our lacrosse programs. Our girls start practice today, Monday, April 1st, on our field, and our boys are over at Park Center Stadium starting their workouts and tryouts.
Wait and see on baseball and softball.
Wait and see, baseball and softball. We put new lights in here at Memorial Field, and maybe we should have put heat lights in instead. I don't know.
That softball field there does not look good. Osceo's first conference games are set for Wednesday, April 10th, although the Orioles baseball team has 2 non-conference games scheduled before that. While the lingering snowpack is worse for sports that play on grass fields, even boys' tennis teams have been affected by the weather. The Champlin Park Rebels have gotten indoors as much as possible at Daytona's tennis courts. The cold temperatures and stubborn snow piles have kept them off the outdoor courts at the school until this week. Glad to have some options.
It's tough, obviously, with the snow, but I think we're making the best we can with indoors, and it's really nice to actually have it because I know some schools aren't able to practice indoors, so it's nice that we're able to have this space.
The Rebels will have a lot of new faces in the lineup for a team that won just a couple of Northwest Suburban Conference matches last spring. A good offseason has them eager to see how things will shape up this season.
Actually, during the winter, I host weekly tennis or captain's practices here, and I've been trying to get a lot of the boys out here. So some of them has been showing up frequently, so they should be set for the season.
We made a big transition from last year to this year. I think that we all know what we have potential to do, and I think the focus is a lot clearer on the team this year, and I think we're really ready to have a successful season this year.
The Rebels are scheduled to open the season this Thursday at home against St. Francis. This area's top girls basketball player will step into the national spotlight Wednesday night. Hopkins High School senior Nia Coffey is one of 24 girls from throughout the country selected to play in the McDonald's High School All-American game in Chicago. Coffey averaged 18.5 points and 9.5 rebounds per game for the Class 4A state champion Royals. Nia will play on the East All-Star team. Bram's Rebecca Dahlman will play for the West All-Stars. ESPNU, Channel 269 here on the Comcast system, will televise the McDonald's All-American Girls game Wednesday beginning at 6 p.m. Very big honor for Nia Coffey, who's had a terrific season and now will go on to college next year at Northwestern.
All right, thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, John. Still ahead, reason to never doubt in the power of your pet.
Stay tuned to hear one pet's incredible journey back to his owner when we come back. And finally, an Easter miracle reunion story.
In this case, a dog that went missing on Christmas Eve was reunited with his owner on Good Friday. Sonny is a Sheltie who belonged to Dick Odenthal of Cincinnati, Ohio. Dick was visiting relatives on Christmas Eve in Maple Grove when Sonny escaped, scared by all the visitors. Well, Dick and his family spent Christmas trying to find him but never saw him. Sonny had been missing until recently when a homeowner in Vadnais Heights spotted him eating cat food placed outside. The homeowner did some research online and contacted Dick and his family. A live trap was set up and Sonny was captured Friday morning.
I drove up on Friday as soon as I got word to pick him up Friday night, and he was pretty happy to see me. And from that moment on, when I'm at home, he hasn't left me out of his sight. Wherever I go, he just follows me everywhere. My kids named him Rambo. They renamed him Rambo because he's able to survive on his own for 96 days.
Dick says Sonny was actually in pretty good shape. The dog only had elevated cholesterol. Dick and his family actually bought a new Sheltie pup because they thought they would never get Sonny back. And Dick says he kept in close contact with the Minnesota Sheltie Rescue Organization, which assisted in the search. He says it was heartwarming to hear from all the volunteers who helped to work to find Sonny. Wow. And if Sonny could talk,
right. The road he's traveled, I'd say, yes.
Story to tell. That'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here Tuesday at 4.